During the NTV interview, Oburu said that the lowest they would accept would be running mate. As I said in another video, which was concentrated on my assessment of Oburu as an individual, as a leader, was that I could not remember that bit of it, but I said that on that very same day, there was constant blackouts in this plot. And every time the power came back, I would try to go back and whatever. So in that confusion way, I did not just watch the whole program throughout. But people have come out with the clips where he's talking about. So that is what we are going to evaluate. Another thing we have to evaluate today has got to do with the fact that the other thing we have to evaluate today again, it has got to do with the fact that we don't know what will happen to ODM. We don't know what will happen to ODM as a party, because Raila is gone. I know there is a high possibility that the Luo as a tribe will most likely vote as a group, and the Luo as a tribe will most likely vote for Ruto. Now, if the whole ODM will continue as a unitary group or not, well, that one will have to leave for the history. But we are trying to assume that the ODM will be as a unit. In the discussion today, we are going to assume that it is going to be as a unit. It may break into two strong points. It may break even to a dozen strong groups, subgroups. We don't know that. The assumption today is that it will be one unit, or even if it has 80-20, 80% and 20%, then we are talking of the 80%. That is how it is. As I said before, Raila is also a person to blame for not grooming the party centered around him. And it used to be that what he says is right. Actually, there was even a joke that Baba is always right, and then number two, in case of any doubt, refer to number one. And you'd find that people who are getting powerful, that is what other leaders you do, especially in developing country, whereby people who would appear to be ready to inherit them, you find that such people are placed aside. It was just the other day when Raila was required to have a deputy to oversee him. What did he do? He did not have one deputy. He had two deputies. That is Joho and Oparanya. Now, when they were getting whatever, then they were donated to the government. New deputy leaders are there. Again, when he was chasing the African Union AUC chair, um, the acting party leader was Professor Nyang'nyo. Now he's dead, the acting. So those things are, it shows that he didn't have that succession plan. And not having a succession plan, on one side, he's reassuring himself that nobody powerful can come and grab the party from him. But then on the other hand, it also shows that should he leave, then the party has, like now, everybody's now interpreting, you know, for this particular case and cases that are similar to this one, party members would want to know his stand on various things. But then you find that there are cracks. Everybody's trying to interpret differently. Everybody's trying to interpret differently on his last wishes and aspiration. So that one we have to put into consideration. But as I've said repeatedly, that I've said repeatedly that this today's discussion is centered on assumption that this is centered on assumption that ODM will be united, or it will form a bigger chunk and a small chunk. One of the interpretations, of what one could do, what now we are back to today's topic. What one could interpret as Oburu's saying could be that supposing there is an amalgamation of the two parties, suppose UDA and ODM. Now we are trying to interpret what Buru said. There is a possibility of UDA and ODM amalgamating to be one political party, just like KANU and NDP did some 25 years ago. What would be the name of the new party? Would it be Orange Democratic Alliance, or would it be Orange Democratic Alliance, that is ODA, or could it be UDM, United Democratic Movement? Well, we don't know, but or even it could still retain one name, just like initially when KANU and NDP were forming together. Initially, it was people were trying to say New KANU, others were saying Kandu. That is ND, to NDU or something like that. But later on, it remained just KANU. It was not Kandu, it was not New KANU, it just remained KANU. So it is possible that the UDA and ODM may amalgamate and choose one name. The way I know things, and the way I know my assumption here is, if that one will happen, it will be called ODM, but it will be a UDA. Why am I saying so? There is a time, 1964, when KANU and KADU joined together. When KANU and KADU joined together and became one political party, it became known as KANU. When it became known as KANU, you can see later on people like Moi took over. So it was KANU in name, but KADU in reality. So what I can say, Moi was the party president, and there were people like Brudi Nabwera was the secretary general or whatever. So it was KANU by name, but KADU by reality. So the same can happen where UDA and ODM can form and be called ODM, but in reality it will be UDA. Because I'm finding from where I'm seated, it is quite easier. It is quite easier to convince the UDA people to accept the name ODM than convince the ODM people to have the new name as UDA, or even, as I said, ODA or UDM. I think that it would be a bit hard for any alternative name apart from ODM. Maybe UDA and ODM may amalgamate and still retain the name ODM. If it so happened, then Oburu's statement that they will be going for the top seat or the running mate, if it will retain the name ODM, of course Ruto will contest the president as an ODM person, and it will be that way. Now, suppose that they don't, and they make what do you call a coalition. Suppose they make a coalition, it will be a challenge for ODM to go for running mate, because it would also be a challenge to drop Kindiki. will be a challenge to drop Kindiki. Because if they retain as a coalition, it will be really hard for ODM, because ODM would not go for president, Ruto will go for president. Now, when it comes to going for deputy running mate, it will also be a bit hard, because it will be a challenge to drop Kindiki. The repercussion in the mountain would be great. If they drop Kindiki, the repercussion in the mountain would be very great. If Kindiki, for example, voluntarily steps down, many people would think that he was pushed. Now, if Oburu would not have said that we will not go for less than number 2, and Kindiki would have stepped down, the way I'd said that if Kindiki is not the candidate, then what do you call, Gladys Wanga would be the deputy, isn't it? But then we find that because of that, now even having her as the running mate instead of Kindiki would be a challenge. So after Oburu said so, it would be very, very hard to believe that Kindiki volunteered to step aside. Maybe Oburu should have kept quiet, because when he said it, it is now become a challenge. Even today, even if Kindiki swore 1,000 times that he stepped aside voluntary, very many people would not trust him. We all know that the mountain, apart from the eastern side, is dicey. We know that Ruto has a problem with the other region of the mountain, apart from the eastern side of the mountain. Now, it will be very hard to convince people that Kindiki was not pushed. People will just believe that Kindiki was pushed. Now, with the main mountain now dicey, I doubt if Ruto would encourage Kindiki not being the running mate. Then what next do we do? What do we do now? It reminds me of Rigathi Gachagua moves. Rigathi Gachagua, if you study him now, he doesn't want to contest the president, but he wants to campaign for a president where he's going to be calling the shots from the back. Now, it would even happen that ODM may agree not to field even what we call a running mate, but then they'll give out so much conditions. Do you remember the days of MOU, where we were told that Raila was campaigning kufa na kupona for Kibaki to be the president, knowing very well that the MOU was the great thing. But then, you know, the MOU, how it was rushed. But then that is how it is. So you find that in many bargains, you go for higher, so that you are drawn to the average. You get it. It may end up with ODM having a large cake. Now you see, ODM has already declared that it is going for anybody. Actually, you can see that it is 88% chances that they'll be with UDA. But what about the 12%? They are saying that the next election, either ODM will form the government or ODM will be the government. So this is what will happen. That is assuming that ODM will still be unitary. They can always go down and tell Ruto that if we insist on having a running mate from us, first of all, the whole mountain now, you see, the larger part of the mountain is not with Kindiki, or what do you call, culturally, they are not culturally. What I'm trying to say is that Meru, you cannot compare them to Kikuyus in population and influence. So it is a smaller bet. Now, the bigger bet is dicey, and then the smaller bet you go with it. It would mean that the whole mountain area would be anti-Ruto, and that is quite dangerous. If you compare the voting pattern of the mountain and the lake, this is how it is. the mountain people, they get concerned and they vote as if their life depends on it. But the lake people, especially when they are sure that they'll win, somebody just stays at home and says, after all, what will one vote effect? And we are going to make a sweep of the whole presidency and the whole government. We are not going to be there. We are going to be, that is how it is. So, chances of, you know, mountain vote as if they are under siege, and the lake votes as if they are already assured of. They take it that if I vote, it will be icing on the cake. So you find that they have two different voting patterns. And then, so what I'm trying to say here is that I'm foreseeing a situation where a compromise will reach there, whereby ODM will turn over to UDA and say that you have the president, you have the running mate, the deputy president in Kindiki. Now, can you assure us that we are going to have 50 plus 1 appointments? For example, how many cabinet are there? Half of it goes to ODM. There are other political appointments, ambassadorial, what do you call, permanent principal secretaries, and so on and so forth. So you'll find that what I'm foreseeing, what I'm predicting, is that the ODM, when they say that they want the running mate, that is a bargaining thing. Because when you want to buy something at 7 shillings and 50 cents, when you want to sell something at 7 shillings and 50 cents, you say that it costs 10 shillings. And then the buyer will say he has 5 shillings. And you'll go and bargain and reach the amount you want. So what I'm trying to say here is that sincerely, ODM knows that if they have to talk about the running mate, it is quite possible that there will be repercussion. So that is when they'll now use a position that okay, we will now have the positions. But anyway, as a political what do you call, observer, I will have to say one thing, that you enter into agreement. The president appoints half of the cabinet from your place. 2 years down the 2 years down the line, the president makes a cabinet reshuffle. Whereby the issue you are talked of having 60% of all political appointments, it may be reversed. Another thing I would also want to say is that if you look at the way they are arranging things, ODM is entering an arrangement with UDA. It is not even making arrangements with Kenya Kwanza. And if you look at the way ODM is making its own pronunciation, have you heard it even commenting on parties like Ford Kenya? Have you heard them even talking about parties like, okay, Musalia Mudavadi, ANC is no longer there. But what is happening now is that parties like what is the name of former governor for Machakos, Alfred Mutua, is Maendeleo Chapchap Party. There is Maendeleo Chapchap Party, there is Ford Kenya, there is such other parties as I've just mentioned. Of course, ANC was swallowed by UDA. So you'll find that any pronunciation and any agreement that ODM is making with the government, it is not making arrangements with the Kenya Kwanza government, or it is not even mentioning those periphery parties. It is pronouncing with the UDA. That one means a lot. That one means a lot. And if I were a member of such parties, we have to look at things more seriously, because you may, a party like Ford Kenya may be cheering that thing as members of Kenya Kwanza, but agreements are with UDA. Thank you and God bless you.